Had an interesting comment from Sailfish Soundsystem on my last video. Sorry, I'm so tired right now. I took a sleeping pill a little while ago, so I might doze off in the middle of this video. Yeah, Sailfish is a very smart guy. Makes some awesome music too, by the way. You should check out his channel. He says that he believes that morality is subjective and is based on evolutionary processes. I can tell you that I used to think that too. I used to think that everything boiled down to biological evolution. Basically, everything we do is because we evolved to do it that way. The sort of deterministic, you know, like the world is just, it's just like it's like a watch, you know, like you wind the watch, you know, back in the day before they had batteries, you just wound up your watch and then you just let it go, and the whole thing would just play out until the energy ran out of it, and that was it. Everything was deterministic, right? Which, you know, if you believe that evolution is the only force at play here, then you believe that. But the trap that you get caught in, however, when you talk about this, when you try to excuse me, when you try to state things as fact, you are basically claiming objectivity. So, in other words, if you say, for example, if you, and I'm not saying that you said this, Sailfish, I'm just giving this as an example. Like, you have somebody who says everything is meaningless. The best argument against that person would be to say, well, you can't possibly mean what you just said. Since everything is meaningless, then your statement was also meaningless. You didn't mean what you just said, therefore everything can't be meaningless. There is no truth would be another one. Well, your statement that there is no truth, you're claiming that your statement is true, right? You're claiming that it is true that there is no truth, right? So the very words in your sentence negate the whole idea that the sentence proposes. The idea swallows itself, if you will. So when you say that everything is subjective, and, you know, when I hear somebody say that everything is subjective, I basically, you know, it's like the Star Wars argument, you know, when, what's his name? Obi-Wan Kenobi is sitting down with Luke, and he's saying, well, what I told you was true from a certain point of view. You know, like when he told him that Darth Vader killed his father instead of Darth Vader is his father, you know, blah, blah. You know, and he's like, well, you know, you'll find, Luke, that many of the truths that we hold on to are highly dependent on our point of view. So, you know, everything is subjective based on the way you see the world. So you might see this one thing to be true and somebody else sees it to be false, and both of you are right. Well, you being the third party, so you're saying that party A sees something from one point of view as true, and party B sees something else from their point of view as it being not true. Well, you are party C, and you're looking at that interaction and you're saying, this is objective truth. So you're removing yourself from that, and you're claiming that from your point of view, that everything is subjective. But how do I know that's really true? Because You're speaking from your point of view. So your argument swallows itself. Your argument negates itself. Your argument is like a ship with a giant hole in the hull. You keep trying to bail the water out, but then the water keeps pouring in just as fast as you're bailing it out. You try to say everything is subjective, and you claim that to be an objective reality. When I just throw it back in your face and say, no, if everything is subjective, then that very statement is true only to you. Maybe everything isn't subjective according to me. Everything is objective. So you can't claim anything to be truth without acknowledging that there is concrete, objective, hard truth. You can't really, you can't claim any of that stuff. You know, you can't claim that there is no truth. I mean, well, you can, but it doesn't hold any water. You can't claim that everything is subjective. You can't claim that everything is meaningless and have it really make sense to the other person. And really, when you think it through, it doesn't hold any water. I think the reason why our brains think this way, and the reason why we tend to make these logical arguments and these definitive statements, is because we have deep down, buried within our souls or our hearts or our spirits or whatever you want to call it, buried deep down within us, this complete and utter sense of objective truth. That there is a true essence out there somewhere in the universe. And we don't always claim to know exactly what it is, but we have this sense that it's there. Because the reason why the evidence, rather, for our sense of objective truth is the fact that we like to argue. We like to claim, no, that's not the way things are. This is the way things are. No, you're wrong. This is how it is. The other person says, no, it's like this. Right? So anybody who argues or tries to make a point is claiming that there is objective truth somewhere out there, right? So if we didn't have a sense of that, if we really didn't have a sense of objective truth, of real, concrete truth in the universe, and I'm not saying that we know exactly what it is, but we have a sense that it's out there. We have a craving for it. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't bother arguing anything. We wouldn't want to argue politics. We wouldn't want to argue morality. We wouldn't want to argue justice or injustice. We wouldn't want to make any arguments about anything at all. You know, I mean, basically what I'm saying is that the fact that there is philosophy at all, the fact that we are searching at all, is because we have this sense deep down in our hearts that there is an objective truth out there, and we're just looking for it. That's all it is. You know, just leave it at that. The truth is out there, as they say. What was that? What show was that? Can't remember what it was. Scully, whatever. The truth is out there, and I believe that to the hilt, and I think deep down everyone else believes it too. You know, the universe got here somehow. I got here somehow. This is not all just an imagination, blah, blah, blah. And if it was, who's imagining it, right? If it's all a simulation, who or what is experiencing the simulation? Whatever is experiencing the simulation, that is the objective reality. That is the real thing. The thing that is experiencing this big so-called simulation or lie or matrix that we're all stuck in right now. Right? So, my last question to you, Sailfish, is your own philosophy that most things, not everything, but most things, minus hard sciences, most things are subjective. I'm wondering, do you live that way? Do you live according to that statement? That most things are subjective. So in other words, you know, if you're sitting at home and somebody breaks into your house, for example, are you going to, now I'm sure that you'll defend yourself. You know, I'm sure that you'll want to shoot the guy or stab the guy or fight the guy or something like that. But later on, when the fight is over and everything, will you say, well, you know, it's okay that he broke in, because in his mind, it was okay to do that. You know, let's say that he won, right? Let's say that he tied you up and he raped your wife or your girlfriend and killed your children, stole all your shit, burned your house down, right? And you barely escaped with your life. Let's say that's what happened. And now you're homeless. Your kids are gone. Your wife is raped. Your stuff is gone. Are you going to just go, it's okay. It's okay that he did that. You know, that was, you know, he justified it in his own mind. So there is no true morality. There is no real right and wrong. You know, I would venture to say that you wouldn't do that. I would venture to say that it would be much more than an evolutionary hatred that you felt toward the guy. It would definitely be a sense of, I was wronged. What he did to me was wrong. And I need justice for this. I need to get my shit back. I need to kill this guy. I need to either kill him through vigilante justice or see him get tried by a jury of his peers and watch him fry in an electric chair. Your sense of justice will kick in pretty hard when it's you that it's happening to. You know, and that's the same answer that I had for the guy I was talking to in college. You know, he was trying to tell me that nothing is real, like nothing. You know, everything is in our imagination, everything. And he pointed to this tree that was in the middle of campus at Ohio State. He said, like, that tree's not there. You know, I mean, or it's highly unlikely that tree's there. I said, oh, really? I said, why don't you go walk through that fucking tree then? Or like, when you're walking around campus, do you try to walk through buildings? Do you try to walk through cars? Do you try to walk through trees as if they're not there? Or do you walk around them? Do you walk up the steps and you open the door and go through, as opposed to walking through the wall of the building because it's really not there? You know, all these things that we say and we think, they sort of justify a mindset, and they justify a philosophy in our minds, and they help us sometimes. But it's like one of those things that looks good on paper, but it just doesn't work out in real life, and you do not live your life according to your own statements. you don't live according to the rule that you just laid down, which is that everything, not everything, but most things are subjective, apart from hard sciences. You don't live that way. And the guy didn't really have a good answer. You know, when I asked him, why don't you walk through that tree? I said, what'll happen if you try to walk through that tree? You think you walk through it? And then he made up some bullshit about, well, I would bump into it, but it would just be my imagination that was bumping into, or whatever he said. And I was just like, well, but if you're really imagining all this, why can't you make the tree disappear in your imagination? Because you're in charge of your own imagination, right? You know, if you're really imagining everything, then make me disappear. Make that car over there disappear, you know? But you can't, you know, because you're not imagining it. Anyway, you know, I hope you don't take my argument toward you as being disrespectful. I'm trying to be respectful. I'm just trying to pick it apart and say that, tell you why I believe that there is an objective reality, that there really is a truth, that there's only one story as to how the universe came about. There's only one way that it came about. I'm not saying I know exactly what it is. I'm saying that the truth is out there, that it is there. It's a matter of us being able to grasp it, being able to know it. You know, people try to get, you know, people try to say, well, you know, you want to get religious about it and bring God into it. Well, but if God really did create everything, if we're all here because of him, then isn't it necessary to bring him into it when you're talking about such things? And yeah, you know, you can say, well, I don't like your brand of God. You know, I don't like the Christian brand. I like the Muslim brand, or I like the Zoroastrianist brand, or I like the Jewish brand of God, or like, which God, you know, do you want me to believe in? Well, to be honest with you, I don't even know if God cares, you know, because the interesting thing about the Bible is that God doesn't even claim to have a name in the Bible, because that demeans him, really. You know, God is, his name is I am that I am. That's what he calls himself. I am that I am. So if you want to call him Allah, if you're talking about the creator of the universe, then you're talking about God. Just like the ancient Native Americans, you know, they had all these gods that they prayed to, but then there was the Great Spirit that they prayed to, and that was the creator of all things. So just because they didn't call him Yahweh or Jehovah or whatever, just because they didn't call him by that name, doesn't mean that they weren't worshiping the real, true God. I mean, if you're an ancient Native American and you look up into the sky and you say to yourself, hey, whoever you are up there, whoever you are that created me and created the heavens and the earth and the universe and everything, whoever you are, like, can you help me with this problem? Or, you know, I want to get to know you or whatever. Do you think that God would say, no, I'm not going to let you get to know me? Just because why? Because you didn't call me Jehovah when you said it. You didn't call me Allah. You didn't call me Yahweh. No, they're talking to God. They're talking to the creator of the universe. That's why anybody can have a relationship. Anybody can reach out. And this whole aspect of Christianity being a religion is not true either. You know, Christianity is not a religion. It's just not. I mean, man puts it in that category, but when Jesus came to preach to the Jews and they killed him, and then, as the story goes, he rose again 3 days later and then ascended. They didn't immediately say, hey, we're going to call ourselves Christians. We're going to call our, they didn't, it wasn't called that. It wasn't called Christianity. And the interesting thing about it was that it wasn't just for Jews. In fact, it was mostly Gentiles that believed in Jesus as the Son of God. And they just simply called it the way. That's what they called it back then. Now we have a name for it. We call it Christianity. And we call that guy, we call him Jesus Christ. Well, that's not even really what his name was. His name was Jesus, but he was Jesus of Nazareth. Christ is not a name. It's not a last name. Christ is another name for the Messiah. The Messiah is the Savior. That's all it is, He's more like Jesus the Christ is what he is. But, for whatever reason, we call him Jesus Christ as if his last name is Christ, which is funny. I mean, it's funny what we do, with language. It's funny what language does. Language, it just ruins so many things because, we abbreviate things and we I don't know. We do so many things with language that actually destroys the meaning of things. You try to say, I'm a Christian. Like, really? What does that mean? I believe that God sent his only son to die on the cross for me, and that's the only way to get to heaven. Oh, okay. Okay. So you're not a Christian, you're a Jesus-ian, or you believe in that guy that said he was the Son of God. Okay. But now it's like Christians are just lumped in with all other religions, as if Jesus is like up there with Ganesh and Muhammad and Siddhartha Gautama and all those other guys. He's just another Buddha. That's all he is. He's just another wise teacher. Well, the thing about it was that he never claimed that he was that. He said that he was God incarnate. So the only conclusion you can come to about Jesus, if you don't believe that he was God incarnate, was that he was a Looney Tune. That's really the only other conclusion you can come to. But the stuff that came out of his mouth, the stuff that he said, doesn't sound very Looney Tune to me, the stuff that he was saying. And if somebody made him up, if somebody made all that up, I'd like to meet the guy who made him up, because that dude is God, whoever made him up. Because the stuff that Jesus says in the Bible is just cuts right through your soul when you read it. It's pretty amazing. All right. Anyway, this video went really long. Sorry. Take it easy, guys.